What's going on, everybody? It's me, your host, Bellar Wright, with another review of Dragon Ball Super, the manga. This will be the review of Chapter 62, Edge of Defeat, which is written by Akira Toriyama with art by Toyotaro. But at this point, we know that Toyotaro is doing a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to the writing. And this is going to be for the Occult review. So let's go ahead and get this thing started. Before we do, let me do one more thing. Remember, guys, you can check this chapter out at viz.com in the Shonen Jump section. These chapters are free, the last three that are currently available. So at this point, the last chapters 62, 61, and 60 are free. So if you guys haven't read this chapter already, go ahead. I'll provide the link below. Go ahead and check that out. It is, again, free, so you guys can easily check this out yourselves. And I highly do recommend that. And we are starting right where we left off in the last chapter. Moro is standing tall against Piccolo, Goku, Gohan, and Jacko. Piccolo asks Moro, has 7-3's power been added to your strength? And Moro confirms that. And even Goku has tired of Moro's shenanigans at this point, as Moro has quite effectively changed his tactics and his abilities quite a few times. If you remember the start of this chapter, he started off as a very old wizard type character, and from there he just kept absorbing things, absorbing powers, absorbing planets, and now he's at the point where he's absorbed a whole person and completely changed his look. So yeah, Goku's even tired of his bullshit at this point. From there, I'm not surprised by this. Vegeta rockets out of his defeated position and goes skyborn. A lot of people that weren't fans of the last chapter probably weren't expecting Vegeta to just get right back up, but yeah, he's right back up, and he launches himself at Moro like a madman, throwing full power punches and kicks at Moro. Unfortunately, Moro is just too fast for him. He's dodging everything that's being thrown at him, and then somehow Moro figures out Vegeta's technique. I'm guessing he's talking about spirit fission here. He says, your technique requires you to inflict damage first, yes? I won't make the same mistake twice. So I'm not sure how he figured this out. Maybe he has some previous connection with the technique. Or maybe he's very observant, but I don't think it's that easy to observe the fact that the technique requires damage to be performed first. I think that requires some previous knowledge of the technique. Anyway, this frustrates Vegeta, and he goes right after Moro again. Gohan tries to explain to Vegeta what the gimmick to 7-3's ability is, aka Moro's new ability. He tells Vegeta that he might have absorbed 7-3's abilities, but the rule says that it only lasts 30 minutes. And Piccolo confirms this and says he'll be back to his former strength if we run out the clock. And Moro just laughs at him, and he explains that this power has returned home, with home being in bold. There's no time limit. So that's a very curious statement, a very interesting statement. It's not very clear, but yeah, I believe specifically he's talking about his insane power boost that he got from 7-3. I believe it's because it was his original power that basically it won't run out in 30 minutes. So throughout this chapter, there's going to be some really wonky things going on with Moro's ability, some stuff that maybe doesn't make sense, but I'll talk about that as we go. And he continues. After dodging Vegeta's attack, Vegeta throws a big punch, and Moro dodges with after image, and he slips around to Vegeta's back and grabs the back of his neck. And yeah, he takes his ability, and Vegeta is very characteristically, he's very offended by this, and he does something a prince would do. He basically slaps Moro's hand away and says, "Unhand me." So I'm immediately reminded of like a noble who's like, "Unhand me, knave." So yeah, that's a very royal thing to do, to slap someone's hand, and being very offended by being touched by somebody like that. And surprisingly, Moro shows us that he also has, not only does he has the 7-3 jewel in his head, but he also has jewels in his hand. So previously, I don't believe 7-3 had jewels in his hand, kind of like the androids did before, but I could be wrong about that. I might have to go back and read some older chapters. But anyway, what it shows us here is that Moro has absorbed Vegeta's abilities, and Vegeta's wondering what the heck's going on. And everybody else is wondering if he's just a copy of Vegeta's abilities, but it's pretty much clear to us what he did. And Goku also out of the loop. He's wondering what this copy thing they're talking about is, and so Gohan gives him the lowdown, and Goku's wondering what he means by abilities, but I'm guessing he's just thinking about that out loud. And Moro continues his assault on Vegeta, doing some heavy damage. Unlike Vegeta's hits, all of Moro's attacks connect, and Moro even headbutts Vegeta away. And of course, this proves to be greatly injure Vegeta. And you'd think a guy who takes after a goat would have a pretty strong headbutt. You'd actually think that'd be the hardest part of his body. So from the headbutt, Moro took no damage and Vegeta took a lot of damage. The headbutt even drawing blood from Vegeta. And then from there, we get Moro in a very familiar pose to people who are Vegeta fans. Moro's doing the pose for the Big Bang attack. And sorry about that, I had to take a little break because they are mowing the lawn outside. So jumping right back in, yeah, everybody's surprised that Moro is using Vegeta's attack. And Moro even knows the name of the attack. He says Big Bang attack. Isn't that what you call it, Vegeta? And he launches it at Vegeta, and it does a tremendous amount of damage, and it is so fast that Vegeta can't even react fast enough to get out the way. So I've never known this about the Big Bang attack, that it was a very fast attack. Maybe that's unique to the Moro variant of it, but I believe that it is probably one of the properties of the Big Bang attack, honestly. Just something I never noticed before. And this leaves Vegeta in a huge crater, and he is smoldering basically, and he's out of his god form. And everybody's shocked because he's done for. He's completely done for. He got hit straight in the face with a Big Bang attack, and we saw how destructive that was back in the Android saga. And Moro kind of goes on savage mode and throws a few insults Vegeta's way. He says, "Was that supposed to impress anyone? Such a grandiose name for such an ordinary ki blast." And you know what? I've always felt this way about the Big Bang attack. It's always looked like a generic powered up ki blast, but it's always had somewhat of a mystique because Vegeta uses it as a finisher. And with Moro using it the way he did in this chapter, I think that it does have some unique properties. So I won't be calling it generic anymore, because I think speed is probably one of the things that it has that really gives it that kick. And I didn't think that before Moro used it. So, and Piccolo says this is worse than we realized, and he says if he's got Vegeta's abilities, that means he can use Force Spirit Fission. And he continues, he said, "You guys always had the fusion dance, the Batara earrings, and other means of combining as last resorts. I'm not sure what these other means of combining are, but those will be rendered useless now." Maybe he's speaking about his own ability of Namekian fusion. And for some reason, this surprises Goku. I would think that Goku would have thought about that by now, because Goku's a fighting genius, but Piccolo just pretty much called him out. And Piccolo continues his role as reliable exposition in this chapter. From there, we cut to the Sanctuary, or as we in America know it as, in North America, we know it as the Lookout. From there, we see that everybody's concerned because Vegeta just got knocked out. And Oolong wonders, what now? They've got no one left who can fight. And Dende comes up with the genius idea of going there to restore their energy. And Eska asks him, "Are you going to fly down there by yourself?" And everybody's worried about him. Even Bulma says, "Are you sure about that? Isn't it way too risky?" And Dende, he's resolved to go because he doesn't want to be useless. He actually wants to go and help because, as Earth's guy, he wants to do more than just watch things go down. And it appears he's ready to make a great sacrifice for this, because he says, "Eska, Mr. Popo, take care of things here." So that's kind of a death flag. I don't think Dende is gonna die, but this could be indication that he might. And we do have a replacement character already here, just like he replaced Kami. So I don't know. This could be the end of Dende. I'm not sure. I personally don't think so, but it is what it is. Anyway, Mr. Popo tells him to be careful. He specifically says, "Be careful, Kami-sama," showing him great respect. And Dende flies off down to the battlefield. And then we cut to Krillin. He's on his way to the battlefield, but curiously, he's doing it by foot. So he's hopping across different land masses. And which is odd, definitely odd. It could be because he's trying to conserve energy, but he looks more tired than he would be just from flying. It could be that he's low on energy, but he has a bag full of senzu beans. That's why he's going to the battlefield, because he's gonna give everybody the senzu beans. It could be because he's masking his energy, which is probably the likely reason he's doing this. But yeah, I just found it a bit odd that he was still on foot at this point. It'd be a lot faster if he just flew over there. And Krillin says, basically Krillin senses everybody's ki. He senses that it's getting smaller, and he's knocking himself because he didn't give Goku the bag of senzu when he had the chance. He didn't think of it, so he's hoping that he makes it in time. And from there we cut right over to the battlefield again, and Gohan and Piccolo are powering up to take on Moro. And you guys gotta give these guys credit, because they are a lot stronger than they used to be. Just to put it in perspective, Gohan himself managed to stalemate Kefla in the manga, and Kefla is a two parts of a fusion. Half of that fusion managed to give trouble to Goku, Frieza, many members of the Tournament of Power, and also many members of the Pride Troopers, I should say, and also managed to eliminate about 50% of the Tournament of Power. Probably a lot more, probably closer to like 60 to 75% of the tournament. Yeah, that Gohan was able to take on that fusion, and he's even way stronger now, because remember, Goku came back to Earth after these guys were defeated by 7-3. Goku came back to Earth, and specifically they were defeated by 7-3 using Moro's ability. Goku came back to Earth after these guys trained for 2 months. He said that he can't even recognize them. So these guys are a lot more powerful, both Gohan and Piccolo. So I definitely need you guys to recognize that, because I feel like a lot of people are not recognizing how strong these two are at the current moment. These two are ridiculous, and Piccolo is like comparable to Gohan. They're like neck and neck. I believe Gohan is still a bit stronger based on statements from 7-3 earlier, but they're basically neck and neck. It's quite ridiculous how strong these two are. But anyway, they at this point they still stand no chance against Moro, because even though these two are ridiculously strong by previous arcs measures, they still are not even close to Goku and Vegeta, and they're really not close to Moro. They're a lot closer to Goku and Vegeta, obviously. But anyway, Moro kicks Piccolo away, and then he kicks Gohan upwards, and then he basically slaughters Gohan with a multitude of ki blasts, and he continues to pour on the ki blast for a very long time. And Piccolo is still up. He's on the ground though, and he stretches his arms all the way to Moro to catch him, and he actually grabs him by the legs. Moro notices this, tosses the ki blast Piccolo's way. It blows up in Piccolo's face, and yet Piccolo is still holding on to Moro with his arms and hands, of course. And Piccolo says, "I won't let you go even if you kill me." But Moro just says Piccolo hasn't realized that Moro is keeping him alive, because of course Moro is looking for a snack after all this is said and done. So Moro's holding back a little bit. He did not manage to kill Gohan even after all those ki blasts, so Gohan is tougher than he thought. And Gohan does something very interesting. He does a galactic donut, one of Goten's techniques, which is the technique where he takes his finger, makes a little circle in the sky, and then he throws a ring at his opponent, which he can use to constrict them. He can use to tighten it up and constrict them. So this is something new for Gohan. He's never been a mimic character such as Goku and Tien were. So this could be, he could have learned this technique due to his own intelligence. He might have been practicing off screen. He could have gotten the boys to teach it to him, which I don't think is likely at this point. I think he just kind of used his own knowledge and brain power to figure out like, if they can use ki to do this, maybe I can replicate that with these special properties. So this is kind of a new take on Gohan's character, and emphasizes that smart martial arts based character that we know he eventually becomes in Dragon Ball Heroes, because he writes a book about ki later. So this is really cool, and it's really effective too. Even with Gohan's strength paling in comparison to Moro, the attack does manage to constrict Moro's right arm and his body. And Moro isn't able to immediately break out of it, so it is very effective. And with Piccolo holding Moro's legs and Gohan constricting them, A surprise attack ambush has been planned and is in the works. Goku comes out of nowhere. After Piccolo says unleash it Goku, Goku uses instant transmission. It appears this whole time he's been charging a Kamehameha blast, one that is very powerful. And Moro catches it at the last minute, very last minute, and he does manage to block it. This thing is huge, by the way. I'm going to show you guys all the panels. This thing is very huge, but Moro does manage to block it with one hand, and it is a highly destructive attack. We see all the reactions in a couple of panels, but it is very destructive. It's blowing everything away. Gohan, Piccolo, and Jocko, they have to recoil. They recoil from it, and at the end of the day, Moro is damaged by it, but he's not completely damaged by it. He's not as damaged as Cell was, for instance, but his arm is gone. It actually looks like his arm kind of looks like Boo's body. It's like a weird plastic rubber texture, but his arm is gone, and but the rest of his body completely unscathed. There's not even dust marks on him. But he does look at his arm, his stub, and it looks like at this point, even though they haven't defeated him, maybe because he lost a limb, maybe it's enough to turn the tables. But Moro is basically unfazed by all of this. He simply walks over to Goku, stares him down, intimidates him, and then he regenerates an arm and immediately skewers Goku with his new arm. Yeah, this is some pretty sick stuff. We're getting back to the old days of Dragon Ball brutality. He does a lot of damage to Goku. I'm going to show the panels, but they're very, very graphic. Everybody's surprised by this. Goku is messed up. This is probably Goku's worst injury ever that's ever been depicted. We've seen him get blasted in the chest. We've seen him get drilled in the chest, both by Piccolo, by the way. But this right here, using Piccolo's ability, no less, this ability right here is very, ouch. This injury, I should say, is very, looking at it honestly makes me wonder, like, how the hell he's able to even survive it. He's only able to survive thanks to weird Saiyan biology, but anyways, yeah, Goku's really out of it. And Moro says, yes, Piccolo's regeneration. That I failed to mention that the ability 7-3 copy are now mine forever with no pesky time limits. So this is a part of that wonkiness that comes with Moro's abilities that I was telling you guys about. This is like, where did this come from? It kind of came out of nowhere. It's interesting that it does work this way. Basically, whatever 7-3 had access to before Moro absorbed them is now permanent. And it kind of makes Moro's abilities now a bit overcomplicated. But not too complicated to where I don't understand them, but they are very, very complicated. So some things he keeps are permanent, such as the power he inherited from 7-3, as well as the technique 7-3 had prior to his assimilation into Moro. But I believe techniques such as Vegeta, techniques that Moro has acquired after assimilating 7-3, I believe those are still temporary. So apparently he still has Piccolo's regeneration. I don't know if 7-3's, the ability 7-3 got from those hedgehog looking characters, I don't know if that ran out or not. But if he does still have that, then he has the ability to teleport, as well as the ability to throw pins from his body. He has those abilities permanently. And things get even more interesting as Goku goes down. Gohan gets enraged. Before that though, I did miss this part. He says he basically says he hasn't killed Goku yet because he needs to devour his energy before he passes on. But dude, from everything you've just done to Goku, you should probably be devouring him right away because he's not long for this world. From these panel shots, you guys will see Goku probably, if he was a regular human, he'd be missing his lungs, as well as probably his liver too. Is massive. Like the whole Moro put in Goku's chest with his massive arms is huge. I cannot stress that enough. Anyways, we hop over to Gohan. He's enraged at this point, seeing what Moro did to his father. He's throwing a bunch of wild punches and kicks at Moro. Unfortunately, they do no damage because there's just too much of a gulf in power between Moro and Gohan. But yeah, Moro or Gohan definitely powered up at this moment. He's definitely as strong as he's ever been. And Moro notices this. He says, "It seems that Saiyans receive a power boost when enraged, but hardly enough to fill the chasm between us." And at this point, only Piccolo and Jacko are left standing. So Dende reaches out to Piccolo telepathically, and he says he's coming to help everybody to restore their energy. But apparently, Moro can overhear this telepathically. At this point, I'm not sure if he can do this because he has Piccolo's abilities, which I think he's going to imply in a moment, or if it's because he's already some sort of magical being with eldritch powers. But Piccolo notices that Moro has a little ear twitch, and he tells Dende no more telepathy. He basically mentally yells at him, "No more telepathy." And Dende's like, "Huh?" And Moro drops Gohan and says, "I see another of your Namekian abilities." So telepathy has never been specifically said to be Namekian. I believe non-Namekian characters have used it before. I think I remember Goku using it before. King Kai, of course, uses it too. But he says maybe it's because he got the ability from Piccolo. He calls it a Namekian ability. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that is a Namekian ability or if it is just mystical. I'm not quite sure at this point. I'm pretty sure it's both, probably. Yeah, Piccolo says, "Keep away, Dende." He was listening in. And Jacko doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. And Gohan's also wondering what the hell they're talking about. And Moro fills everybody in. He says, "Restoring energy. The Namekian moving towards us has such an ability." Piccolo says, "Curse you." Moro says that such a being could hardly pose a threat, but he throws up a ki blast. Everybody wonders, like, what the heck's going on? And from that ki blast comes this huge, expansive barrier around the battlefield. And Moro says that barrier should keep out any unwanted nuisances and prevent you from escaping. And Jacko's surprised by it, but Piccolo seems to be cooking something up in his head, just looking at Moro. And then that gets to the battlefield pretty dang quickly too. He's met with the barrier and there's nothing he can do to get in. Krillin also makes it to the battlefield and he's also stumped by what the heck's going on with the barrier. It's actually kind of funny. He says, "Oh, come on, what is this time?" So he's going through quite a lot to try to get to his friends. And Moro takes his time taking out Piccolo and Jacko. Looks like he's having a bit of fun with it. He's holding back quite a lot if Jacko was able to survive. And from behind, androids 17 and 18 try to get some hits in, which is cool because, yeah, they're also here. So they're going to try to pick their opportunity to sneak up on them. But they're effortlessly dealt with. Moro just blasts them both with this cool looking kind of looks like the spirit gun, but he does it behind his back, like he no looks him basically, and takes him out. And from here, everything looks hopeless. Piccolo and Jacko are the only two up. Piccolo says, "Sorry, Jacko, for roping you into this battle, into Earth's battle." And Jacko says something pretty noble too. He says, "Knock it off. Moro broke out of our prison, and besides Earth's in my jurisdiction. If this planet is doomed to die, then it's my duty to go down with the ship." So that's pretty noble with Jacko. And then Piccolo just capitalizes. He says, "Oh yeah, then I won't feel bad about this." And he powers up what looks to be a Gekiretsu Kodan. I believe that's the name of his attack. The light bullet, or the light grenade as we know it in America. And Jacko wonders what's Piccolo doing, like what the heck's he's doing. And Piccolo explains. He says that the barrier is actually a blessing in disguise since it'll keep any destruction contained. Therefore, nothing will be left in here when I'm done. So Piccolo's planning on self-destructing. And Jacko says, "Hold on, I haven't made my peace yet." But this just goes to show you how strong this guy is at this point, because if his self-destruct, if he thinks it has any sort of chance on taking out Moro, barrier or not, then he had to have powered up significantly. So I'm pretty sure at this point Piccolo is God tier, like easily him and Gohan are God tier. Just not Goku and Vegeta God tier, but they're pretty high up there. But anyway, while Piccolo is charging his attack up, a special beam cannon hits him clear in the abdomen, taking him out of the fight. And it looks like it was done by Moro, who permanently has his skills. And he says, no more nonsense from you. Just lie there, okay? And Piccolo's still alive. He's twitching. Funny enough, we get the twitch sound effects. And Moro singles out Jacko and he says, and now you're the only one left, Galactic Patrol. And we get the panel. Very, very chilling panel of all our heroes. All the heroes who can actually do anything about this. They are laying on the ground, bloody and broken, and dying. Each of them dying. Surprisingly, Jacko is the last one left. So we cut back to Dende, who is basically despairing that he can't get in this barrier. He's talking mess about himself. He says, I was completely useless. He can't defend the planet or do anything to help anyone. And some god I am, he says. But apparently, a opening in the barrier appears right in front of Dende, and he falls right through it. And he's like, what the heck just happened? The barrier just opened up. And behind him, he sees someone in angelic clothes who says to him, this isn't over yet, God of Earth. And Dende's very shocked, and he's like, it's you. And from there, we cut back to the battlefield with Jacko versus Moro. And Jacko has his gun pointed at Moro's chest. He says, stay back, I'm warning you. But Moro says, to be blunt, I have zero interest in your life energy because it is so small. And it's probably foul tasting. Jacko takes offense to this, but Moro says, which means I don't need to keep you alive. And he prepares to get rid of Jacko. Jacko takes a courageous last stand and says, buzz off, scumbag. Very brave. He shoots at Moro. The shot is doomed to fail, but out of nowhere, another beam identical to Jacko's approaches Moro from the side, really next to the first beam. And then it lets off a huge explosion. Very unexpected. So it looks like the attack was not supposed to produce that effect, because Jacko was very surprised by that. He's like, what? Say what? What the heck just happened? He's like, did I just do that with my little energy pistol? And even Moro was shocked by it. He's like, you imbued that shot with your own energy. And Jacko's like, what the hell are you talking about? But he looks behind him and sees that another Galactic Patroller has showed up, and it is Agent Maris. And Moro says, but you aren't really Galactic Patrol, are you? And Maris just stands there with a very cocky smirk on his face. So yeah, that's going to be the end of chapter 62. This chapter was fantastic. I loved just about everything about it. I had some gripes, I guess, with Moro's ability because it's kind of complicated and complex and crazy, but I actually don't have a problem with it. I think it does make sense. It's just like his abilities are a bit convenient. It's like he has Piccolo's abilities permanently because it seems they wanted a villain with regeneration, just like Boo had and Cell had. Because it seems like if you're not known for overwhelming power like Beerus and Jiren are, you need some sort of gimmick that usually includes regeneration as well. You need like a Swiss Army knife of powers. But no, this was fantastic. I liked everything here. I like that this chapter didn't really set us on a path to wrapping everything up. I like that this chapter didn't wrap everything up either. I like that this chapter was just more of Moro beating the shit out of the heroes. So that perfect because it is it's something you could not predict. It is unpredictable, and that's what I really enjoyed from this chapter. Unfortunately I enjoyed the fact that Goku got hurt really, really badly, like to the point of nearly being dead, because it adds more excitement, because the Goku can't just wrap everything up next chapter, so we don't know what's gonna happen. This guy clearly beat him and Vegeta like nothing, and the fact that everybody is contributing to this fight in a meaningful way really elevates this to just about everything we've seen in Super so far. The only thing that comes close is the Tournament of Power, because everybody was involved in that. But to me, this is superior to the Tournament of Power because everybody is being used meaningfully. And this whole arc's had that. This whole arc's had Yamcha being used, even Yamcha and Chaozu being used effectively. So again, I've been saying it a lot throughout this arc. this is a really good arc that elevates this series. It elevates Super by quite a margin because we're getting stakes, we're getting intelligent storytelling, we're getting a villain that keeps surprising us, a villain that is truly a threat, and it doesn't seem to be contrived, the fact that he's this threat. I mean, he's pulling stuff out of nowhere, sure, but it all seems to be in his wheelhouse pretty much. I still don't like the fact that he looks so much like Cell, but I thought his previous design was really good, really original, really cool. Yeah, but other than that, I have no real regrets about this chapter. Nothing bad to say. I really enjoyed it. As a fan of all these characters, I think everybody got a good shot at Moro, but he just proves to be too good. Like, he has really good abilities. He's plant for these guys, and it's gonna take a miracle to do anything. And that miracle looks to be Maris, but I think the true miracle is gonna end up being Dende and Krillin, who's gonna come and save everybody. So one thing I mentioned at the start of this whole arc was that I didn't think that Piccolo and Dende were gonna figure into this arc at all. So I complained that even showing those two characters meant nothing because they weren't gonna be included. I was completely wrong. I was also completely wrong about Maris too. So I want to call attention to that because what's fair is fair, and I talked a lot of shit about the chapter at the very start. Not the chapter, but about the arc at the very start, and I was completely wrong about a lot of stuff. More stuff. I was wrong about more stuff than I was right. So I do want to call attention to that. But overall, man, this is really good stuff. So I don't want to do this too loud, but I'm clapping for Toyotaro, and whatever input Toriyama gave as well. Both of these guys are on fire right now. So I can't wait to see what's going to happen in the next chapter. I cannot wait to see this animated. I can't wait to see them flesh this out even further and add more to it. This is going to be a long and amazing arc. I can't wait for it. But yeah, guys, let me know what you think of this chapter, and let me know what you thought of my review overall. But let me know what you guys think overall about what's going on and what you think is going to happen in the future. But yeah, take care, guys. Till next time. Peace.